Welcome back. Solar customers could lose some of their financial credits for producing more energy than they use.
On your sides, Christine Lazar joins us now with the push from state policymakers to cover the rising cost of energy by cutting those solar credits.
Yeah, well, these credits were really a way to sweeten the deal. So people would put those solar systems on their rooftops because they are not cheap. They're tens of thousands of dollars that people have to pay. And now environmentalists worry that people won't do it. So it's a big back and forth between the state and that. Yeah, so the utilities have long argued that solar customers don't contribute their fair share to maintain the power grid. But environmentalists and solar companies claim if you don't offer those incentives, Californians won't pay for those pricey solar systems. I'm joined now by economist Richard McCann, who performed an analysis for the rooftop solar industry. And Richard, what did that analysis find?
Well, we've basically found that the state, the governor, the PUC are focusing on the wrong solution. Utility spending is up approximately 300%. That's 4 times faster than the rate of inflation. Generation rates are up 40% in the last 3 or 4 years. And it's really utility spending that's out of control and is this problem with that. That means that we need to come up with other solutions that focus on that aspect. We really shouldn't be blaming customers for this problem. It's not that these customers did something wrong. The state asked them to install clean power systems on their rooftops, and they have agreements that are in place for about 20 years.
So what are these utilities spending all this money on? Do you know?
Well, part of it is wildfire, but wildfire is only about 12% of the utility revenue requirements that go into rates right now. There's other aspects that are involved, and it's not really clear because the CPUC hasn't really done a good job of auditing utility spending over these last few years. We really need to have much closer scrutiny of what's going on.
Now, Governor Newsom has asked a commission to give recommendations to keep our energy rates from rising. So what do you think the solution is, if not to take away these credits and kind of penalize the customer?
Well, there's going to have to be hard choices made in the state legislature, and it's really going to have to come from the state legislature, not the Public Utilities Commission, because the PUC has its own view of how regulation is going. The state legislature needs to ask these hard questions, change the way that regulation is done, put in audits, have closer scrutiny of what the commission itself is doing, maybe even perhaps spinning off the public advocate's office into the attorney general's office, and having it as truly an independent entity that can dig into these issues.
And just real quickly in closing, if these credits are reduced for solar customers, those who put in solar before 2024, how do you think that will impact both the solar industry and the demand for traditional energy versus cleaner energy?
Well, so these customers made investments on the basis of having a long-term protection against bill increases. And if the state decides to basically pull the rug out from under this group, it's not clear what other customers will think about investing in capital investments like solar panels or electric vehicles or heat pumps that involve state incentives. If they think those incentives are at risk in the future, they're going to be much more reluctant to make these kinds of investments if they don't have more certainty from the state.
Yeah, that's a good point. And they aren't cheap, the solar systems, EVs, that sort of thing. Richard, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you.
All right, Jamie, back to you.